Welcome back to the Scholomance Academy card preview, not review, not out yet. Card valuation, stream, YouTube stuff. I'm Adwikta.
This is Merps. We're talking about Rogue, the class that always dominates at the beginning of every single expansion because there's no micro adjust and Dagger's OPOP.
Yeah. Rogues do not have an extremely ridiculous card, except for this one. It is epic. It is the best card for Rogue. Literally the best card for Rogue. There is no Rogue card right now rated higher. It is even above Sap. 1 mana, Secret Passage. Replace your hand with 5 cards from your deck. Swap back next turn. This is a cool mechanic. I think they're like messing around with it right now, but this is a really freaking cool mechanic.
This is pretty cool.
It's this good. Okay, let's walk through why it's this high. It's this high because one, you're getting your hand back, right? So this is just pure card advantage. Any cards you use, it comes out of your deck, but you're not losing any cards from your hand. Two, you guys have played with Evocation in Mage, so you know how powerful these kinds of effects are. This doesn't draw you an entire hand, but it draws you 5 cards. Which means that if you have 5 cards in your hand, it draws the same amount of cards. And you have a lot of cards in your hand in this meta. So it's almost an evocation. But it's even better than an evocation in terms of the cards you get, because you get cards from your deck. So you kind of know what they are, and more importantly, cards in your deck are cards you've already discovered in the draft. They are better than random spells being given to you. So it's like a mini evocation that gets most of the value of the evocation, and then you have a better, more controllable card pool. So the value of it is almost evocation.
Yeah, it's really freaking good. I don't know. Like, you just look at it, and I think you have to immediately see how good it is. And once again, it's like evocation, and you know what you're going to get a lot of times. Like, you're able to look at your deck, and also just like evocation, in which you are able to keep any additional cards that you generate. Because all you're doing, you're swapping back the 5 cards that you got off Secret Passage. But if you used one of those cards, just like with evocation, like, if you use that temporary arcane intellect that you generated to draw real cards, you keep the quote real cards, and same thing with Secret Passage as well. So it's a way for you to get some card advantage, and like find the cards that you want. If it's a situational card, it's a way for you to basically increase the size of your hand. It's just really good, like really good, and you pretty much know what you're getting, especially if within your deck, like, I need some reach, or I need just big cards. Well, you have a lot of chances to get it. Maybe it's not specific, like maybe you have 3 big minions, and you're kind of just happy with whichever one that you grab. That's really useful for that.
Yup.
Okay.
Next.
So next we have Coerce.
What?
Because ZD Man redid the score.
Oh! Well, what is it in Warrior now? Okay, so we're doing this after Warrior, by the way. And we were like, it seems a little low in Warrior.
So in Warrior, we can go back. I said it was not a 150. I was correct, but it is a 142.
Oh, it's higher than I thought it would be.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a 142.
All right. ZD Man fixed the bug. I bet the bug was that it was always looking for an injured minion, even if before the combo triggered, and then the combo triggers and nothing happens. So it was basically just a 3 mana execute. I bet that's what the bug is. ZD Man, confirm to me that's what the bug is. Yeah, ZD Man in chat just confirmed to me what the bug is. I was going to message him something afterwards, but I'm glad he's on it. So, okay, so it's a 142 in Warrior, and then it's going to be a little lower in Rogue, I'm guessing?
No, it's a 171 in Rogue.
It's a 171 in Rogue? Because the combo is more easy to trigger in Rogue.
Yeah, combos are a lot
Interesting.
easier to trigger in Rogue. That's the thing. Like,
Oh,
it's
also
hard.
you can always injure something because you have a dagger.
Yes. The
Okay.
dagger, I think, is the thing that is really pushing it
All
in terms.
right.
And once again, it's situational, right? Because you are paying a decent amount for that. Like, you're paying a decent amount of health, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Okay. So it's a 170 what?
171.
Oh, okay. So still below Secret Passage, but just barely. Interesting. So it's a 171 Coerce. Coerce, by the way, for those listening, is the one that's 3 mana execute, and then if you combo it, it becomes an assassinate. People are wondering what assassinate is in Rogue. Assassinate is a 128 in Rogue. Or like hard removals went down a bit in this new set. Not that there aren't like big things, but you just have to like deal with more stuff. Like removals in general kind of went down a bit. Compare that to like Eviscerate, which is 153. Right? Like
Okay.
you want to be able to flip the board more so than you want to be able to deal with large minions. And also a whole lot of large minions can't be assassinated these days.
All right. That's great. Very great. Great is the word of the night. Next card, we have Brain Freeze.
That's what I feel like I have right now.
Yeah.
Because it is 2 a.m. And we've been doing this for 6 hours.
It's not freeze, because freeze preserves. This is Brain Decay. But Brain Freeze is a 1 mana spell. Freeze a minion. Combo.
7 hours, not 6 hours.
Yeah. Also deal 3 damage to it. So you really want to combo this. You really want to combo this. You need to combo this. Thankfully, it's pretty easy because it's 1 mana. So that's nice. It's a 135. That's good. That's really good. Once again, don't get jaded. 135 is real. It's good.
I don't know. It's just Fan of Knives. It's only a Fan of Knives level good. It's only an evil miscreant level of good.
I know. So look, it's good. It's real good. All right.
Next is Steel Dancer, 4 mana, 4/4. We did this in Warrior. Rogue views Steel Dancer a little differently. You don't have a lot of big weapons to potentially get like really good stuff, but instead you always have a dagger. So it'll always be a 4 mana, 4/4, 1/1 at worst, which is not bad. And if you do get a weapon or a buff on your weapon, it becomes a lot better. So only upside, no downside. And 135 is pretty high. I'm actually surprised it's this high, but I guess the fact that you have that baseline dagger like makes it potentially.
You're
great.
always gonna have it. So it's a 4 mana 4/4 plus like a 1/1 minimum, right? And usually a beneficial effect. 1-drops have gotten pretty good. Like 1-drops have gotten either really sturdy or
that's why. Sorry, it's cost equal to your weapon's attack. I thought it just summoned a 1/1.
No.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. 1-drops are pretty decent nowadays.
1-drops are pretty decent. Like you're gonna get something, and a decent amount of times it's got a beneficial effect, that 1-drop. So there you go.
Next is Wand Thief, 121. Now we're at the like little above Yeti kind of level. Wand Thief is a 1 mana 1/2 combo. Discover a mage spell. So you can't play it on turn 1. Unless you like coin 2 1-drops or something, if you want to discover a mage spell. Discovering a mage spell is pretty damn good. But also as Rogue, having a 1-drop is pretty damn good. I might just play this on turn 1 if I'm going first.
It depends on your deck, depends on a lot. Yeah, but it's good. Because a 1 mana 1/2 sucks. Normally. So it's getting a ton of points for what is admittedly a really good ability. So yeah, you are giving up a ton of its score if you just play it turn 1 without the combo.
Yeah,
you're giving up a ton. Yeah,
I might. We'll see. All right, next up, 117 Vulpera Toxin Blade. This is a very interesting card. It's a 3 mana 3/3, which is terrible. But your weapon has +2 attack. So now if you have a dagger, like you dagger on 2, and then you play this on 3, your dagger can deal 3 damage instead of 1, and so Vulpera Toxin Blade becomes something like a Fire Plume Phoenix, and then continues to have this ability. Sort of, right? Obviously not as good.
Yeah. So once again, this is one of those abilities that if you look at it, it's like, okay, is this better or worse than just a battle cry? And there are some situations in which it's better and some situations in which it's worse. I would say in the early game, like if you're daggering and on turn 3, would you prefer the battle cry or the aura? You want the battle cry. You want the certainty. So this is not as good as, just like an auto barber effect ish. But it's still quite good. Now it's good, and it's getting a ton of points over just a 3 mana 3/3. So, for example, a Gobble Glide tech, which is a 3 mana 3/3, and it still has
an ability.
Yeah, it has an ability, but I want to pull it up as well, like just how much it has over Gobble Glide tech, right? Which is a card that is in the meta and people do see. So Gobble Glide tech, it also has Battle Cry if you control mech game +1/+1 and rush. It's an 82. It sucks because it's not going to trigger that often, and 3 mana 3/3s suck. They're so bad. So that's an 82 in Rogue. Meanwhile, this thing is a 117. That's a lot higher numbers. Higher numbers are higher than
higher
lower
numbers. Good. Lower numbers bad. ZD Man in chat, by the way, this is great. ZD Man in chat says, by the way, the algorithm doesn't play One Thief on turn 1. So, okay, in a normal deck, you would not play One Thief on turn 1 for the 1/2. You would wait for the combo. But,
Yeah.
There are decks, I'm sure, that you should play it without the combo.
Yeah. So, those people that are essentially much higher on One Thief, which I understand. There is a real penalty for a small card that really can't or shouldn't, or strongly should not. And I would agree that you should not play on turn 1. When you can't play it on turn 1, it's like when Dread says that Sporling is good, but you never want it on turn 1. That's a Monka moment. That's when you're really like, wow, wait, that doesn't make any sense. If something is really bad on turn 1. Now, One Thief obviously is very good. It's nothing like Sporling. I'm sorry I compared the two at all and talked about them in the same sentence. But yeah, it's sort of a consideration. If you have a 1-drop that you can't play on turn 1 or really don't want to, it does hold it back a little bit. And that's what's holding back One Thief from being higher than a 120, which 120 is good.
I like how they connected Rogue and Mage. It's like the two classes that do random stuff. Let's go. Like, that generates random cards, right? Because these are the two major classes that generate random cards. Yeah. And they're like, Alright, next up is a Shifty Sophomore. Shifty Sophomore is our 4 mana 4/4s with Stealth. Spellburst, add a combo card to your hand. Spellbursts are easier to trigger because this guy has Stealth, so harder to remove. Combo cards are usually pretty good. And then
combo cards are okay. Like some are terrible, but they're good. They're good.
Usually pretty good. This is 110 because a 4 mana 4/4 Stealth is still not particularly good. And if you can get the Spellburst to trigger, it's good, but you still have to use the spell, which means you need a target for most of your spells. Red Penguin says, is this worse than a Yeti? Yeah, this is worse than a Yeti. I would much rather have a Yeti.
Well, Yeti is 2 points lower.
Oh,
so
never mind. I guess it's the same. I would still rather have a Yeti. I just like Yeti, I guess.
You like Yeti.
I like Yeti.
But I would say that, yeah, it makes sense that, well, first of all, a 2-point difference, it's basically the same. You just pick them. Pick them like whatever you want.
Like, when you're a rogue, what I always worry about is getting hit in the face. So I always want a very strong curve, like, as my first and foremost things. And then I worry about the other things. Because I also don't have 2-drops in my rogues. So I'm already taking damage from like my daggers. So I don't like this like stealth. So your opponent can't even trade into it. Like you're just forcing your opponents to go face. Cove says, I'm curious what Objecta thinks of this picture compared to the junior. Oh, you mean this pink lady playing a piano or something? Oh no, she's stealing from a drawer that looks vaguely like a piano. I mean, I don't like it either, but at least it's not 9 health. Like, it's 4 health, right? Sure, she looks like she should be 2 health, but, 2 to 4 is just 2 apart. That's how math works. 2 and 9? That's 7 apart.
Great.
Okay, that's almost an entire Twin Tyrant.
Next card.
Next card is a Potion of Illusion.
This is a weird one.
I hate this card. This is the card that Merps keeps bringing up and I want to knock down.
I think, yeah, I think 90 is, I'm like, okay, I could see it at around a 90. 90 is where Ironfur Grizzly is. Like, well, right now it's where 90, like, it's where an Ironfur Grizzly is about. So, meh, Anyways, Potion of Illusion, 4 mana. It's a mage rogue spell. Add 1/1 copies of your minions to your hand. They cost 1. So it's a 93. 93 is not good. It's not terrible. It's useful.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is something we excluded from the algorithm. Not because the algorithm can't do it, but because the algorithm would take a couple of days to calculate this, apparently. And we were just like, we don't have a couple days. So you may see this score actually change in the future once we speed up the algorithm, or if we just have a couple days and we're like, yeah, let's just run it. But it's like Echo of Medivh, except you don't actually get card advantage out of it. But you do get tempo. Like, I don't know. But you have to spend 4 mana, so you really trying to spend 4 mana to get tempo? It's like a really huge combo card, right? You use this, you get your death rattles, you get your spell bursts, you get like all sorts of whatever stuff, but they have to already be on the board because you're spending 4 mana on this card, so you could play like one other card that you actually want to target. It's just, there's too many conditionals for me to think that this is actually going to work on any reasonable percent of times.
I could see it. It's one of those things where I could definitely see it a little bit lower, but it's here for now. Meh.
All right, next is Cutting Class. So we talked about this in Warrior. This is the 5 mana draw 2 cards card. Costs 1 less per attack of your weapon. So it's a 4 mana draw 2 cards for Rogue. If it's awkward for Warriors to use, it's even more awkward for Rogues to use, but it has less of a downside. But like, if you're going to take this card and you're thinking it might have the downside, like, I don't know. It's just not a good card draw card. And if you're a Warrior and you're like, I don't have that many good options to draw cards, which isn't even true anymore because they got a whole bunch of like 1 mana, 2 mana cards that draw stuff. Well, Rogues have a crap ton of stuff to draw stuff. Drawing cards is never Rogue's problem. And now you're in this meta where you draw even more cards. So this is no business being in a Rogue deck. But it's not terrible because you do have that bottom.
Yep. Oh, what's next?
Next, we're at Plagiarize. Plagiarize is bad. Don't do it. 2 mana secret. Because no one knows you plagiarized until like the turn after, and then they know. The secret says, at the end of your opponent's turn, add copies of the cards they play to your hand. Okay. So 1, your opponent will very much suspect that you played Plagiarize. Because Rogues have like 3 secrets. And if they have anything on the board, they can test for most of them. And if they even suspect that you played Plagiarize, they will not give you great cards. Or at least if they do give you great cards, it will not be cards useful to you. Like if you play Plagiarize and you have a board, and then they don't, they may be like, alright, I'll Flame Strike you. I'll give you a Flame Strike. What are you going to do with a Flame Strike? You're ahead, or a Twisting Nether or whatever. Or more likely, they're just going to give you crap. That's kind of where it's at. It's too easy to see through to be all that good.
And a lot of times it's like, even if they're giving you something even just halfway decent, like unless it's something game winning, like it has to be a situation which they give you a game winning card that you can remove and then turn the game around by playing it.
Yeah.
So you need something else. Otherwise, like if it's just sort of a minion that's even just pretty good, right? Like
Hmm.
even just pretty good, well, you don't get it on the board. It's not a freaking mirror entity. You still need to pay mana, but you've already paid 2 mana to just
Yeah.
get the card/card. So
Like it's
it's
two
not
mana
good.
get a card.
Yeah.
It should be 1 mana get a card. But it's 2 mana get a card, and your opponent determines what cards you get. Like it's not good.
Yeah. So not great. Not great. Like with a lot of secrets, you want that like immediate kind of upside, right? And
Mhm.
that's present in uh even a few secrets that we view as not good. Counterspell, vaporize. These still, even though they're not good, they still have all of these upsides. The upsides are just really not there with this thing.
Yep.
So,
The upside is my opponent is dumb or does not know plagiarize exists. That's the upside.
which can happen.
It can, but not when you get higher in the meta, like in your wins. Hopefully. All right. Next one is self sharpening sword. It's a crap weapon. It's a 70. I bet some people think this is a decent weapon. I don't know how much pushback we're going to get on this, but I'm 100% sure that this is a terrible weapon. It's a 3 mana 1/4 weapon. After your hero attacks, gain +1 attack. So it hits for 1 damage, then it hits for 2 damage, then it hits for 3 damage, and then 4 damage.
Yeah, it's very slow going.
It's
Very
just
slow going.
it gets its like additional attacks way too late. What it's good for is like buffs because it has a base of 4. So any buffs will last on it for a long time. But like this is the arena, you're not going to synergize it with like a whole ton of like permanent buffs onto your weapons.
It's really slow. And a lot of the value of weapons, we've talked about this before. It's like the first durability or the first hit matters a lot more than second, which matters more than like this. The power of this is all backloaded, right? Once
Mm-hmm.
you get to the final durability, oh man, whew, that is great. Like, you get so much attack there, and you've gotten so much durability. But no, like basically all the value of weapons, it comes at the beginning, and this is why a weapon like Gorehow is so good. It front loads all of that. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have continuous value, just like this has somewhat continuous value as well. But for Gorehow, you front load it, and this you back load it. And for weapons, and especially because you're hurting yourself, you definitely want to front load it versus back loading it.
Yep. So, what do you think about rogues overall before we even get to the legendaries? I don't want to get sidetracked by the legendaries.
Sure. Well, look, rogues have always just been about taking the microgists away, letting them do their tempo thing with their cheap cards, and most importantly, the dagger,
Mm-hmm.
which carries them. And we kind of see that as well. Like rogues typically just never get great cards, but it doesn't really prevent them from being extraordinarily powerful at the beginning of every single expansion. We might see that here as well, but yeah, it just goes to the theme. What did they get? Well, they got some card draw, which is nice, but that was never something that rogues were really starving for.
They
They
got
got
some
some,
good tempo minions, like
yeah,
decent
they
ones, right? Steel Dancer,
Steel
Vulpera.
Dancer is the best one, but like, if you look at everything that they're going up against, like what other
Yeah, oh
classes
yeah.
got,
They're not
yeah.
matching the power level of the other classes, of the good classes. They're like a priest, right?
Right. So like Steel Dancer, you're getting a 4 mana 4/4 with like a 1 mana 1/2 that might do something a little bit extra, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's fine. And that's nice. But it's nothing compared to these other classes. And I agree. Rogues appreciate good minions because that's what they're really missing. Like just solid, good minions. Because they have a lot of flexibility, they have a lot of good removals. They need to back that up with good minions. They don't need secrets. Like rogues don't want to mess around with these stupid secrets. They want to be tempo efficient and then bash your face in the mid game. And it just didn't get enough of that. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be bad at all because the dagger is always good. Rogues are always good when you have no micro adjust, but this time it might not be enough.
Okay.
Might.
I'm actually going to reconsider. I mean, I'm not changing the scores, but I did not realize the synergy between plagiarize and ambush. Because if they play a secret and you don't know what it is, what you want to do is play one big card, right? You want to use your mana, you want to only give them one card. But you can't do that unless you have another minion on board that, or like a spell, right? That can take care of an ambush. So if you can't do that, you're going to be way more scared of the ambush, which is actually a good card. And it's going to be more likely to be seen in opponent's decks after the first couple
ambush
weeks.
Rather than plagiarize. I don't care about them plagiarizing.
Okay. So you'll give them, then if that's the case, right? Then most of the time plagiarize will probably get you like 2 cards if you use it in the late game.
Yeah, but they're not 2 cards that like...
Right, you'll only play like your crappier stuff.
Yeah, like
Okay.
you're not... Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like yes, it's like a 2 mana draw 2 kind of, but you're not getting stuff that really matters. So yes, you're extending the longevity of your hand, but it's like, okay, well, if I'm just getting like a 2 mana 3/2 and a 4 mana 4/4, 4 mana 4/5, does that really move the needle? No. Whatever position I was in before, I'm like pretty much in the same position.
All right, that's fair. Let's round this out with the legendaries. Dr. Krastinov is the warrior one. We've already discussed this when we covered warrior. Dr. Krastinov is a 121 in rogue. You're going to be buffing mostly your dagger, which is pretty good, but turning 1 damage to 2 damage is still not the best. It's a 121. Next up is Infiltrator Lillian at 165. That's pretty super premium. It's 4 mana, 4/2 stealth, Death Rattle, summon a 4/2 that attacks a random enemy. So 4 mana, 4/2 stealth that has a second body attached to it is pretty good. The second body has initiative, but it attacks a random thing. So
165 is good.
Yeah, 165 is good.
I mean, you're just getting a lot more than you should be getting
for 4 mana.
For 4 mana. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
And finally, you have a 225 score card. This is the one shared with Mage. It's Jandis Baurov. 5 mana, 2/1. Like a freaking giggly inventor. I have PTSD from 5 mana, 2/1s. Battle Cry. Summon 2. Oh, God. Random 5-cost minions. Secretly pick one that dies when it takes damage. Alright. So
it dies in one of them.
So one of them has basically 1 health.
Yeah. It won't show with 1 health, obviously. But it effectively has 1 health. But it still needs to be poked.
Yeah.
It still needs to be pinged.
Yeah, it still has 1 health. And you don't know which one it is, so you can't just like ping it, you know? You have a 50-50 chance at it.
And sometimes, even if you know what it is, like for example, it's got like a death rattle, right? You're just like, well, okay, so they're gonna get value out of it. So yes, random.
Oh yeah, that's true. You do get the death rattle value regardless.
Yeah, you get death rattle value regardless. So there you go. Random 5-drops are not they're not usually going to have the stats that you get from a normal 5-drop, but then you also get a 2/1, right? You know, the 2/1 is not nothing, so that sort of makes up for it. It's just like too many stats. You get way too many stats, and yes, it's random, but it requires nothing. Like there's no condition. You just get a butt ton of stats, and that's it.
Yeah.
You get
it's just too much stats. Like, I know they try to make it a game and everything, but ultimately they just put too much stats on this one to make it at all, like, fair. I guess the reason it's like this is probably because it doesn't synergize particularly well with anything. So they just needed it to be independently strong for constructive purposes so people would actually use it. But in the arena, it's just way too strong.
Yeah. And if you get two things that are fairly similar, or even like the same thing, basically, yeah, you can just select one, and your opponent just doesn't know, right? Sometimes there's like no mind games involved, and sometimes there are mind games involved, and it's like,
There's usually mind games involved, I think.
yeah, yeah, I would say so, because you can also pick, like, if something is just, if you get two minions that are way different, obviously you don't want the super strong one to just die from a ping. But if you get two that are even pretty similar, you get like a 4/4 and a 4/3. Well, you can say, okay, I can also just pick the 4/4, and if they want to ping, if they want to, like, they have to choose, right? They're like, oh, am I mind gaming them or am I not
Mm-hmm.
mind gaming them, right? Like, because the difference between 4/4 versus a 4/3, they might pick the 4/4, they might pick the 4/3, depending on what I think they're going to. And so yeah, there's definitely mind games involved here.
Yep. All right. That's it for Rogue. We're gonna do a mage next. You got any shout outs to give before we move on to the next one?
Um, no.
Okay, okay, fine. Let's give a shout out to Dreads, who hosted us in the middle of this. Thank you, one of the 3 remaining Arena players who still plays Arena. Although lately Dreads has been playing Battlegrounds. But presumably Dreads will return to the Arena along with us in the new expansion. He always starts with the Arena, but then he...
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to all the Arena streamers. Like all of you guys, you know who you are, and if not, you go on Arena HS and find everybody. Like Boozer got his partnership recently. Like, just for continuing to stream Arena when Blizzard has been kind of abandoning ship on it. I've said this before. I don't think Arena's necessarily dead, but it's certainly going to go through a low period of quite a number of months. And during this time, like, there's Arena community was so like large, actually, at least on Twitch, and it was so like there's so much expertise and just like people helping each other out and like trying to analyze stuff. It's great to see people continuing to take it even when less stuff is happening in the arena. We will be streaming Arena for the most part when the new expansion comes out. But we do the Switch thing now where we're probably trying to do 50-50 with Battlegrounds too and do more Battlegrounds later on when Arena's less fresh. Anyway, shout out to all the Arena streamers. Thank you guys for doing this and continuing to do this. And, there's still plenty of people who want to watch Arena. I will see you guys in the Mage episode coming up next.
Okay. All right. See you guys.